All right, moving on. Okay, Pandas has two major data objects, right? One is series, the other is data frame. Okay, so data frame is what we will be, the data that we will be analyzing. Okay, they will all be data frames. When you read data from a website, when you read data from an Excel file, when you read data from SQL or any other source, they will come in as a data frame. Okay. So let's look at what a data frame is. Okay, data frame is a rectangular table of data. Okay, unlike NumPy. NumPy arrays or n-dimensional arrays. It can be 1 dimension, it can be 2 dimensions, it can be 3 dimensions, 4 dimensions, 5, 6, so on, and it can be mind-boggling. But data frames are easier than that. It has only 2. Okay, so it has columns and it has rows. Okay, it's a table of data. So each column can be of different data type. Okay, so one column can be numeric, second column is string, third column is category, fourth column is Boolean, but one column has to be just one data type. You can't have in one column some that are numeric and some that are string. Okay. Each column, okay, will be coerced into one data type, whatever data type that all data can reside in. Okay. Now, this is the function that we can use to read text data into Pandas. And when you use that function, it will bring the data in as a data frame automatically. Okay. So we are going to see one example of that in this chapter, but in the next chapter we will look at that function pd.read_CSV in more detail later on. So right now we'll see one example and then move on. Okay. So any external data, so when you bring in, it comes in as a data frame. Okay. Now, if you already have data in, like you have a NumPy array, okay, or you have a dictionary, or you have a list, you already have it, you've already created it, then they can be converted into a data frame using this function, pd.dataframe. Okay, look at the uppercase D and uppercase F. Okay, data frame, okay, it has to be spelled exactly the same way, case matters. Okay, so function can be used to get data into a data frame, already existing data in data frame. Okay, like Pandas series, okay, Pandas series has index for each value, right? You have values and you have index, and you can specify the index, and if you don't specify index, then Pandas will automatically assign implicit index 0 through n-1. Okay. Now, series is just one series of data. It's just one column. Right? Data frame is several columns, and then you have several rows. So like series, you have row indexes for data frame. And once again, you can assign those indexes yourself, and if you don't assign, Pandas will automatically assign implicit index 0 through n-1, like in the series. Okay. Now, columns also have indexes. Okay. Those are column names, column header. Column header, you can use column names, you can use the phrase column names, or you can use the phrase column indexes. They both are the same thing. So you have column indexes or column names. So like Pandas series, rows have indexes, and I should have one more line here. Data frame, columns have indexes. Okay, so column names. So here is column names. And once again, the default is like in the row index, column index will be 0, 1, 2, 3. But when you use this read CSV function, the column names, you can give column names in the file itself. We'll talk about that a little later. Okay. Now let's look at this function pd.dataframe function. So it has, well, at the very minimum you need the data. So you can have PD data frame and then data. So that will create your, so like here, okay. So we have 3 lists, okay. So it can be zipped lists or dictionary or ND array or series. So all of this can be data that can be converted into a data frame. Okay. Now here let's look at this example. Okay. You have list 1, list 2 and list 3, right? Now if you use the pandas data frame function in this fashion, L1 comma L2 comma L3, then it's going to take L1 as the first row, and it will take L2 as the second row and L3 as the third row, and you will end up with a data frame in this way. Okay. So it automatically assigns row indexes of 0, 1, 2, and since we did not specify any column names, it's automatically assigning column names as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. But then here, if you look at the columns, okay, they are all of different types. So since data frame requires an entire column to be of same data type, then this is going to be, each column is going to be object, because the first one is a string and it cannot be represented as a numeric value. So all of them will be string. And again, this is not how we want the data to be. So here the data is supposed to be, you have the state and you have the year 2000, 2001, 2002, and the L3 is supposed to be population in, I don't know, 10 millions or whatever, or population increase. So this is supposed to be something related to population. So your data frame actually should look like one column of state names. Ohio, 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 Nevada, Nevada, Nevada. Okay. And then the second column should be year, 2000, 2001, 2002, and 2003, or whatever. Okay. And then the third column should be population. This is not how it is supposed to be. Okay. So what we really need to do is to zip them up. So when you remember, when you did zip, okay, earlier we did zip, zip will zip the corresponding values. It will take the first values, pair them all up, okay, that will be 1, and second one will be zipped up, the third one will be zipped up, and so on. So if you zip them up and then do the PD data frame, then you will get the data correctly converted. So here I have zip, L1, L2, L3, so you get a zipped list, and I use the zipped list in the PD.dataFrame function, and then I get the data frame correctly set up. Okay. Now, of course, we still have the column names and row names or implicit names, 0, 1, 2, 3, so on. Okay. All right. So, well, actually, I don't know why I have zip again. I really don't need this whole zip one more time, right? So I already zipped. So all I have to do is to say zipped list. Okay. So now I can specify column names and index. Columns will be the index of the columns or column names, and I can provide that as a list. So the first one is supposed to be state, the second one is year, third one is population, something related to population. Now I'm also giving an index. Okay, the index here is for rows. So I'm using a numpy a range. Okay, we did numpy a range function previously in chapter 4. Okay, so start stop, I'm sorry, start, start, stop, and step. Okay, and the stop number is exclusive. It's going to stop one short of the number that we specify. So this is going to start with 10, and you have to make sure that you have exactly the same number. There are 6, so you have to have 6 here. If you don't have 6, you're going to get an error. So since I'm going to start with 10, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, I need 60, so I have to go at least one above 60. So 61 and increments of 10, so it's going to now change the row indexes to 10, 20, 30, 40, and so on. Okay, so it's the same thing like the previous cell. Okay, zipped list is being converted into a data frame. Now, but I'm adding column names and row names, or column names and row indexes. Do you know why I'm getting NaN? Remember, this is once you use the zipped list, okay, when you use the zipped list, the zip will get exhausted. So you put, zipping is like putting it into a box, and when you use it, it's all taken out of the box, and there is nothing in the box anymore. So I have to. That's the reason why now I remember the reason why I had this that thing. So let me just use that. Okay. So now I have the data. Okay. So that's again, it's good that I did this. So it's a reminder. Zip, when you use a zipped object, the object will get exhausted. So there won't be anything left over in that zipped object anymore. Okay, then you have a function called info. Okay, again, this is a very useful function for us to get a quick glance of what a data frame contains. So data frame name dot info parentheses will give you summary information, what that data frame contains. So it says, so df1 is of class pandas data frame. So it is a data frame. So it has the index, that is row index, goes from 10 to 60, and there are 3 columns. The 3 columns are state, year, and population, and how many non-null objects are there. This can be very useful, because if you have a large database, data frame, and there are some missing values, this is going to tell you how many valid values there are. So if that's not equal to number of rows, then you know that there are some missing values. Okay, and then it tells you what is the data type of each column. So state is an object. So object means what? Here in this context, string. Okay, year is integer. Okay, we can convert this into a date stamp using PD to underscore date time. Okay, but right now it is integer, and then population is floating point. Okay, and the data types, again, it's repeat, the same thing is repeated here. Yeah, data types. There is one floating point, there is one integer, and there is one object. Okay, and how much memory is used. So it gives you some basic summary information about the data frame.